What is up, guys? Delboy here. So Josh Warrington defeats Lee Selby to become the new IBF featherweight champion. He won the fight by a split decision. I don't know what the third judge was watching because it was not a split decision at all. There was no case for Lee Selby winning that fight. But credit to Josh Warrington. I felt he boxed a tremendous fight. And I was expecting Lee Selby to win this fight. I was quite confident in that pick. I felt it was going to be more competitive than people was making it out to be, because Selby has looked bad against mediocre guys at times, and I felt that Warrington's activity would give him issues at times, but I felt Selby overall would just outbox him and keep it at range for the most part and pick up points. But that's not what happened. Early on, Josh Warrington comes out in the first round and tries to push Lee Selby back immediately. He's trying to fight his fight, making it a high intensity type of fight, and that's something Lee Selby doesn't like. You know, he likes to sit back and counter and pick you off with his jab, and straight away Warrington wasn't giving him any opportunity to do so. The first two rounds, Warrington clearly won those rounds, not just with pressure as well. There were times when Josh Warrington was actually out jabbing Lee Selby. And Warrington was the smaller, shorter guy, but he was still getting inside on Lee Selby's reach and popping a nice jab, and also finding a right hand when Lee Selby was square as well. You know, in the first two rounds, he boxed really well. Round 3, I felt Selby come back into it. He boxed better in that round, had some good success. But from there on out, it was really Warrington's fight. You know, he kind of put a slow beating on Lee Selby. By maintaining his work rate, having a consistent jab that was always landing, the right hand as well, like I said. Another key punch in this fight for Josh Warrington was the left hook. His left hook consistently landed on the target, especially during the exchanges when Selby let his hands go and when Josh let his hands go with him. The left hook was always landing. You know, Selby just couldn't see it coming. He had no answer to it. And overall, Selby was he got outmanned, he got outfought, he got outboxed. Josh Warrington just did everything better than him. And, you know, Warrington was setting a high pace, and he never really took his foot off the gas at all. You know, even in rounds 10, 11 and 12, he was still fighting hard. He was still making Lee Selby fight his fight. At this stage, Selby was getting desperate towards the end, looking for big shots, looking for a knockout punch. But as we know, Selby's not really a big puncher, so you know he knew at that stage he needed a knockout to win, and it wasn't coming. You know, Josh Warrington clearly won this fight. I think you're going to struggle to give Lee Selby more than 2 rounds in this fight. He got beaten up. He had 2 cuts over his eyes. I know that was caused by accidental clashes of heads, but he just got beaten up. He got outworked. Josh Warrington did everything better than Lee Selby. Selby showed some good grit, some good determination, but, you know, he never really got a rhythm going. He never had any answer to the Josh Warrington pressure. One thing Selby was doing towards the end of the fight was sinking some nice left hooks into the body, and that's something he should have done a lot earlier to try and halt that pressure from Warrington, to try and drop that output. But, you know, the body shots came way too late, and even when he was throwing them, he wasn't throwing them regularly enough. And ultimately, Lee Selby just couldn't adjust. He couldn't adjust to the pressure. And what really surprised him was the technical skills of Josh Warrington. Josh never done anything special, but he had a consistent jab. You know, he was nice and compact. He had a nice guard. He didn't do anything special, but he fought a really, really good fight. He got his tactics spot on, and it looked like he just wanted it more than Lee Selby, to be quite honest with you. And yeah, it was disappointing that Lee Selby couldn't adjust. You know, he didn't really change anything up. He just tried to use his usual style of like trying to sit back and box, but you know, he never got any room to do that. So after rounds 4 or 5, whatever it was, I felt that Selby should have really kind of changed it up a bit. Maybe try to sit down on his punches a bit more. Try to actually sit in the pocket with Warrington and actually trade. And he was doing that at times, but he was never really committed doing it. You know, he needed to be flat-footed and really stepping into the punches, and he wasn't doing that. And Warrington just outworked him and outboxed him. So credit to Josh Warrington, he boxed a really good fight, and I was very impressed. Most people in the UK were picking Lee Selby, including myself, but there were a few out there who were picking Warrington, so credit to you guys. But yeah, overall I felt it was an enjoyable fight and Warrington performed really well. Where does Warrington go from here? I mean, there's talking about the Carl Frampton fight in August. I personally don't think that's going to happen next. I think Warrington is going to want a standard type title defense against a guy who's a bit lower ranked, just to kind of grow into being a champion. I think that's what he'll do next. And maybe after that Carl Frampton fight happens. Obviously, Carl Frampton and Josh Warrington are both with Frank Warren, so there's no reason why that fight can't happen. It will do big business in either Leeds or Northern Ireland, and it'll be a good event. So yeah, I hope that fight does happen. Ideally, I'd like to see it next, but I just don't think they're going to go down that route unless they pay Josh Warrington really, really well. I think you're going to see Josh Warrington take an easy title defence and then probably step in there with Carl Frampton. That's what I think is going to happen. In regards to Lee Selby, where does he go from here? Well, clearly he needs to move up in weight because he's been making featherweight now for about 10 years and he is a big guy at the weight. Maybe it's just taking toll on his body. Maybe he needs a fresh start. Moving up in weight might not be the baddest of ideas, to be quite honest with you. But again, super featherweight doesn't really get any easier. Would you pick Lee Selby to beat Miguel Burchelt? He struggled with Josh Warrington's pressure. What's going to happen when Burchelt is putting it on him? And Burchelt hits a lot harder than Warrington. And he's bigger as well. Super featherweight is going to be an extremely tough ask for Lee Selby. And to be honest with you, based on that performance last night, I would be surprised if Lee Selby picks up another world title. To be honest with you, I really would be surprised. What did you guys think of this fight? I actually quite enjoyed it. I felt it was a good event. Credit to Josh Warrington and credit to Frank Warren for putting it on. Tell me what you guys think. Peace.